Guys, welcome to the webinar on making the most of your next career opportunity, a session on resume, cover letter, and interviewing skills. I am Neha Agrawal, an academic communication expert and founder of Wise Up Communications, and I will be your facilitator for today. So, the first thing that we're going to do is test our understanding about the subject, and I want to see how much you know about this already. After that, I will share some tips with you on resume writing as to how can you write professional resumes. Then I will share some insights with you on cover letter writing and what are some of the steps that you need to do to write convincing cover letters. So once these documents are done, we are going to talk about some techniques that will help you in acing interviews and especially remote interviews given the current time we are in right now. After that, I will also share with you the deliverables of a career building workshop that I will be conducting from 2nd October, next Friday onwards, for those of you who want to learn in depth. And last but not the least, it's going to be time for you to ask all your questions and clear your doubts. Okay? So let's begin by testing our understanding about the subject. So all you need to do is either scan the QR code or log in through the web. So what is this exactly? It's an online polling session and I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Okay, it's really fun and it's completely anonymous. So please answer without any inhibitions. Okay, so all you need to do is either scan the QR code or log in through the web. So I'll wait another 10 to 15 seconds for you to probably do that. Okay. So the first question is, why do you write a resume? So what do you all think? Just answer in few words. Okay, so people are telling me express ourselves, presentations, interview, job, okay, showcase our skills. Okay, yeah. So I think skills are something that most of you are answering. So the next question is, what should you write in a cover letter? Okay, and let's see the answers. Benefit company will receive if you join. Benefit you will receive if you join the company. Resume information in detail. And I don't know why should we even write cover letters, which is absolutely fine. But majority of you are telling me, that is 61% of you are telling me it's the benefit company will receive if you join. Okay, all right. And coming to the last question now. Rate how confident you feel about giving interviews. And let's see the responses from the people. So 54% people are telling me that they are fairly confident about giving interviews. 12% people are telling me not at all confident. So guys, I'm going to make sure that I explain all the details so that at least you start feeling a little bit more confident about giving interviews. Okay. All right. So thank you so much guys for participating in this polling session. And now let's go back to the topic. Some tips on resume writing. Then before you start writing your resume, you need to understand what is the purpose of the resume. And I know so many of you answered it's to showcase our skills to the employer, to talk about our job, to get that job, to share our qualifications. Well, all those things are correct. But the main reason or the main purpose of writing the resume is to win that interview. What you do in that interview to get that job is a completely different ball game altogether. So let me share an example with you. Say you apply for a really big company like Microsoft, Google, Facebook. How many people apply to such companies for a particular role? Probably 1,000, 2,000. And how many people actually get their resume shortlisted for the interview? Probably 50 to 60, right? And how many people actually get the job after that? It's probably 5 or 6, depending on the number of job openings that are there. So, what I want to tell you is that getting shortlisted from that 1,000 or 2,000 to 50 to 60 is so much more difficult than actually clearing the interview and getting the job. If I share my personal example, when I was in Singapore, being an expat, that is from another country, I applied to over 200 jobs. So in Singapore, it's not like India where you have companies coming into the college for campus placements. It doesn't work like that. You actually have to get your own placement and apply to the companies and then get a response from them. The college doesn't support you a lot. Yeah, so I actually applied for over 200 jobs because I was from a foreign country. And out of that, I got only four interview calls. In the end, I actually managed to clear those four interviews. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that getting shortlisted for those four interviews from 200 applications was so much more difficult. And why does that happen? It's because when you are in an interview, you can actually talk about yourself. You can talk about your skills, you can talk about your experience, your personality, right? And you can share your qualifications with the employer. But when you are trying to get shortlisted through a resume, you're not doing the talking for yourself. It's this one piece of paper that's doing the talking for you. And in order to be able to express yourself through that resume becomes a challenge. So before you even prepare your resume, you need to think about what are the steps you need to take to prepare your resume well? What are the contents that you need to include in your resume so that it does the talking for you? All right. So, having said that, please remember this purpose of the resume. And having said that, let's go to the dissection of the resume. So, I'm going to share with you some common sections that you will always see in a resume, and we're going to talk about each one of them. So, starting with personal information. So, let's make this interactive, guys. Can you all please tell me what is some of the information you will include in the personal information section? Okay, somebody is telling me age. All right. Name, email ID, phone number. Okay. Contact details. Somebody is saying date of birth. All right. Hobbies. Hobbies you will not include here in personal information. Somebody also told me GitHub. Okay. Gender. Skills. No. Skills are also not a part of personal information. Anything else? Contact details, address. Okay. Not educational background, guys. That's another section. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So the main things that you will include in the personal information is your full name, your contact number, that's your phone number, and your email address. And these three things are actually non-negotiable in nature. And why is that? Because if the employer likes your profile and they want to get in touch with you, this is how they will probably get in touch. Other things that is optional and you can include under personal information is your address, LinkedIn profile, and portfolio links like GitHub. A lot of you told me GitHub, right? So you can also include that. Now, for LinkedIn, I would strongly suggest that you include that profile only if it's completely updated and if you have at least 100 connections. Because if you don't have that, and if any recruiter who visits your LinkedIn profile and you don't even have like few connections, then they might think that your profile is dormant and that you're not even using it. Okay. And as for other details that some of you mentioned, like gender, age, right, religion, date of birth, please don't mention these things. And why is that? Because these things, they create an unnecessary bias against yourself. For example, you have achieved a lot in your 4 years of undergrad degree, and the amount of information that you have is probably, or the amount of experience that you have is probably somebody with, 1 to 2 years of work ex would have. Now you send your application to a company and the recruiter looks at your profile. And the things that you've achieved so much already that probably you have like 2, 3 years of work ex. But then you've already put your date of birth in there and they look at it and they might think in two directions. One, either you are somebody who's an overachiever and you've gotten so many things, or they might also think that there is no way a person could have achieved so much at such a young age. And probably this person is bluffing and they might just throw your resume away. Right? So these things like date of birth, gender, age, they all create an unnecessary bias against yourself. So please don't mention these things. Have you ever come across a job description which says that we are hiring people who are only 30 years of age, or we are hiring people who are you know, probably only male or only female. No, right? So please don't mention these things and create an unnecessary bias. All right. So this was about personal information. And now coming to the next section, which is educational background. So could you all please tell me some of the things that you would write in the educational background section? Okay, so many results. All right, so somebody say telling me 10 to 12th current degree, CGPA from BTech onwards, college name, place, year, postgrad, major courses taken, school name, 10, 12 graduation marks. Yes, very good. Okay, so some of the things that you need to include in the educational background is starting with your college or university name. And along with that, you definitely need to mention the location. And why is that? Because sometimes colleges have many branches. So it's important that you indicate which branch of the college you're studying in. Or sometimes recruiters don't know where is your college. So when you tell them which location it is, they get a better understanding about the college. Okay, so college or university name. Along with that, please mention the location and then you should mention the years attended. So please don't mention only the graduation year. Say, for example, you started studying in 2017 and you'll be graduating in 2021. So please just don't mention 2021. Write it in period format, 2017 to 2021. Okay, and along with that, you need to mention definitely your degree name, which can be Bachelor of Engineering, Bachelor of Technology, PhD, Masters, all those things. Okay, and you also need to mention your branch name or course or program name, which can be chemical engineering, computer science engineering, electronics and communication engineering. So please mention those things. And once you're done with that, so these things again, it's compulsory. You have to mention these things. Now, other things which are optional and that you can mention in the education section is your CGPA, relevant coursework or projects that you have taken. Okay, so for CGPA, guys, it's optional to put it, especially when you're going for off-campus jobs. But if you're going for on-campus placements and if your college really tells you to put your CGPA on, then you have actually no choice and you need to put it in. Okay. Um, then comes coursework. So relevant coursework. So if you're going for a company that specializes in a particular thing and you've actually taken some coursework which is completely related to that, then you can actually have a separate, a bullet point called as relevant coursework and mention the coursework that you have taken. And same thing you will do for your class 12 and class 10. So you will mention your school name, location, graduation period, and then you will also need to mention your CGPA. Here the CGPA is not, here your scores, your class 12 and class 10 scores, they're not optional. You have to put it in. Okay. So please do that. So this was about education. And now coming to the next section, which is work experience. So work experience is also a little bit similar. You're going to write your company name along with that the company location to let the recruiters know which branch of the company you've been working in, or if you're posted in the headquarters, were you working in the headquarters or not. So location always important. Then you need to mention the period where you worked in the company. So this work experience, guys, that I'm talking about, it can be either a formal work experience or it can also be an internship experience in any company, right? So you mentioned the month or the years you've actually worked there. Then very important is job description or job title. Sorry. So you also need to mention your job position or job title there. And then finally, you're going to write in bullet points the achievements and responsibilities you had in the company. Now, one thing that really helps in making your work experience and the entire resume impactful is resume action verbs. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what resume action words is, I'm actually writing it in the chat box. So what are resume action words? Resume action words are actually just fancier verbs that you will use to replace the general verbs that we use. For example, instead of saying worked with a team of 5 members to achieve a so-and-so goal, you can replace the word worked with collaborated. And you can say collaborated with a team of 5 members to achieve a particular goal. So by replacing the word worked with collaborated, it makes it more impactful. Another example, instead of saying conducted a research on so and so topic, you can say investigated a so and so research topic. So these words are smarter verbs that you can use. And when you do that in the entire resume, right, you can actually see the kind of difference that it is making. It does make your resume more impactful. Now, there are a list of resume action verbs that are available out there. Just Google it. It's for communication skills, managerial skills. There are so many verbs available out there for almost every experience that you want to write. So just Google it and you can find the right word. Okay. So this was about work experience. Now, the next section, very interesting section, is achievements. So can I hear from all of you what are some of the achievements that you will write in your resume? Performance certificates, okay. Publications, good. Winner of a contest or event, yes. Rank, okay. Certificates, Dean Award, good. Yeah, okay. Yes, thank you. So, some of the things that you need to include in the achievement section is your honors and awards. Definitely. So, whatever awards you won, whatever honors you've gotten, you will definitely mention it in the achievement section. Other than that, scholarship. So if you've got any scholarship, tuition scholarship for studying in your college, you can definitely mention that as well. Then comes certificates. And by certificates, I mean winning certificates. You can't put participation certificates or you can't put Coursera certificates in the achievement section. No, they don't belong there. Okay. Then what else can you put there? Then, for people who are more into research, if you have gone for some conference to present your paper, or if you've published your paper, these are all achievements, and you can definitely mention it in this particular section. And lastly, is work related. So, say for example, you interned in a particular company and you got like the best intern of the month award. Then you can also mention it under this section. Okay. So somebody is asking me, what about non-related awards? What do you mean by that? Anyways, guys, please hold on to your questions. I will answer all your doubts towards the end of the webinar. Okay? Right. So this was about achievements. Next is skills. So we all know skills can be categorized into two types, right? That is hard skills and soft skills. So for hard skills, you can obviously write, the tools that you know, the programs you know, programming languages, softwares that you know, or for people who are more into research, if you know any instruments, how to use them like SEM, XRD, all these things, you can definitely mention that under the skill section as well. Certificates. Your Coursera certificates, so many people are nowadays, doing courses on Coursera, Udemy. So you can actually have a subsection under the skill section and write all your certifications there as well. Okay. And the next is soft skills. So now writing soft skills on a resume is completely optional. But if you do want to put soft skills, some of the most common soft skills that people usually write is either communication skills, problem solving skills, teamwork skills, leadership skills. But one thing with soft skills is always remember is that you need to have something in your entire resume to back up your soft skills. Say, for example, you say that you have good communication skills. Then, in order to prove that, you should either be somebody who's like you won a debate competition, or you're somebody who's a part of the Toastmasters club, or you're somebody who's a public speaker. All these things show that yes, you have good communication skills. So if you don't have anything to prove your soft skills, you can definitely leave it out and not mention it. And why am I saying that? Because if you go for an interview and then you write all these soft skills, the interviewer is going to ask you that, so you tell me that you have good communication skills. Can you prove it? And then you will have no example to share with the interviewer. So it's important that way. Okay. So now that we're done with skills, the next important section is leadership positions or positions of responsibility. So what do you think, guys, that you need to write in this particular section? Leadership positions, not wasting too much time. So some of the positions of responsibility or leadership positions that you can write is number one, yes, definitely technical clubs. If you're a part of technical clubs, if you're holding any leadership position in a technical club, you can definitely mention that. If you've organized any particular event and you held again a position there to organize that event, you can also mention that on your resume. The next is student governments. So if you're a part of student council, some colleges do have student councils like, president, vice president. So if you're a part of student council, you can also mention that as a leadership position. Then comes campus ambassadors. Nowadays, students are, campus ambassadors of either different colleges or different companies. So if you are a campus ambassador, that is also a leadership position and you can mention it here. Next is nobody told me this, is sports teams. So if you're a captain or a vice captain of a sports team, that's a great leadership position to have, and you should definitely mention that in this particular section. Then, I'm so sorry. Then comes volunteering experience. Yes, volunteering experience is also a leadership skill that you can mention. Now, volunteering experience is something which is so versatile that you can either have it under leadership position or you can have under extracurricular activities, or if you have a lot of volunteering experience, you can have like a separate section for volunteering. So it can fit anywhere. And lastly, work related. So if you've led a project either in your college or probably in an internship, then that is also a leadership position you can mention. Okay. And now finally, I have the last section here, which is hobbies and interests. So the first thing that I want to ask is hobbies and interest allowed on a resume or not? Can you even have such a section on a resume? What do you think? So as somebody said, hobbies and interests, it is optional. You can put it on your resume, but you can also choose to avoid it. Now, when should you put hobbies and interests? You should put hobbies and interests on your resume only if it adds any advantage to your profile or if it benefits the company in some way. It helps you stand out from the crowd. If it doesn't do any of these things, then probably you don't require this section and you can completely do away with it. Hobbies and interest is also such a section which is, completely optional. If you have a lot of things to write in other sections, this is a section that you can completely choose to skip. Okay. Having said that, what are some of the things that you can write under hobbies and interests now? Can you all give me some examples quickly? All right. So I've read your responses, guys, all mixed responses. So let me actually share with you some good hobbies and interests that you can actually mention on your resume. So some of the things that you should write under hobbies and interest is number one, if you participate in sports activities or if you're somebody who's a marathon runner, these things show that you have stamina, you have good physical fitness. And nowadays, for most companies, technical skills is not enough. They are also looking for candidates who have good mental fitness, good physical fitness, good stamina to work either long hours or to go work on the field. So if you have technical skills and along with that, you have good physical fitness, it's a good skill to have. It separates you from the rest, and that's why you should definitely mention it. Another good hobby to mention is public speaking. So if you're somebody who's a public speaker and takes part in a lot of events, it's a really good thing to mention because it gives a clear description that yes, you have good communication skills. And another one is languages. So given the fact that we all stay in India, I'm sure all of us know at least 3 languages. But if you know more than that, then it shows that you're somebody who's a quick learner because learning languages is not easy. So these are some of the skills that separates you from the rest of the people. And that's why you should definitely mention that because these are going to also add an advantage or a benefit to the company. Okay. Now, things that you should definitely not mention is number one, binge watching Netflix or listening to music. Guys, these things, please don't mention it. It's not adding any advantage to the company. Sleeping, thank you. Somebody also said sleeping. Yes, please don't mention these things. It's not adding any advantage to the company. Okay. Other things like, painting or cooking or these things, it's completely your choice. You can mention it, but be very careful when you're mentioning these things. Why? Because the interviewer can then ask you questions related to that. So say, for example, actually one of my students wrote calligraphy, that she practices calligraphy in her hobby. And then she went to the interview and the interviewer asked her, gave her a pen and paper actually, and said that, can you please write something in calligraphy and show me? So if you don't want your interview to go completely off topic and in such a direction, then you might as well skip these things out. Okay. So whenever you're writing hobbies and interests, see guys, it's not possible for me to vet all your hobbies and interests. Otherwise, this webinar will never end. But always think about, is it adding an advantage to the company? And secondly, if it becomes a talking point in the interview, are you ready to answer questions related to it? And then accordingly choose your hobbies and interests. Okay? Great. So guys, this was all of that I had to share about resumes. If you have any questions, please hold on to it and I will answer your doubts towards the end of the webinar. Okay. And now let's quickly move to the next topic, which is insights on cover letter writing. And I have another activity for you, which is called saying no to poor cover letters. So when I started Wise Up Communications, I was looking for a social media marketing intern. And I posted this internship on Internshala. And in Internshala, one of the most common questions asked is, why should you be hired for this internship? And actually, this is also a question you need to answer in your cover letters. So what I'm going to do now is share with you two candidate answers with you. And both these candidates, they've made some fundamental error in their answers. So you need to identify what are these fundamental errors. Okay, so please read the job description. And now I'm sharing with you the first candidate answer. So please read it and tell me what is the fundamental error made by the candidate. Didn't answer in reference to the job description. Overconfidence, self-obsession. Okay. Anything else? Not related to the description at all. I completely agree. All wills which show he didn't do anything. Use of negative word, not descriptive enough. Yes. Youngster. No, youngster cannot be a fundamental error. Casual and grammatical mistakes, not concise. Yes. But some of the people have actually given me the right answer. So, guys, the right answer for this is that this person doesn't talk about what benefit or what value he's actually going to give to the company. This person only talks about what is he or she getting out of the internship, but they don't talk about what the company will get if they join the company and work there as an intern. And you think from a company's point of view, I hire you, I pay you salary, and even at the end of the day, if you are getting benefited, I'm not getting anything, then what is the point of me hiring you? And guys, this is such a fundamental error made by most of us all the time. I know I have made it in the beginning of my career as well, that we always think about what we are going to get from the organization and now not how we can contribute to them. So please remember this from next time and make sure you tell the company how you can add value to them. Okay, so this was the first fundamental error. And now going to the second candidate answer. Guys, I know it is short. It is a very short answer, 2-line answer, but there also the person has made a fundamental error and I need you to identify that. Somebody told me reputed company. Okay, can you please elaborate on that? What do you mean by reputed company? The answer is somewhere there, guys. That's your hint. So the person says, I really want to work with some reputed company like yours. Is mine a reputed company? No, right? I'm just a startup. Nobody even knows about me. So the fact that this person is writing a reputed company shows me two things. First, this person has not even taken out 2-3 minutes of his time to actually find out about my company and what I do. And from a recruiter's perspective, if you have no interest in finding out what I do, then I have no interest in hiring you. As simple as that, right? And the second fundamental error is traditional copying and pasting of answers. With a template and we think that we can copy and paste it everywhere and nobody is ever going to come to know, right? And I think this is the fault. This is the fundamental error that we do, that people do notice these things like I did for this particular answer. So for cover letters, it is very important that you always personalize the cover letters to the companies that you're writing to. See, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? Instead of sending out 100 applications, you might be able to send out only 30. But the 30 applications that you send will actually, have a higher chance of you getting shortlisted rather than the 100 that you send. Okay. So guys, these are the two very common fundamental errors made by most of the people, made by us usually most of the time. So please remember these and try to avoid it in the future. Okay. So now let's see the content that you're supposed to write in the cover letter. So starting with the contact details. So what you need to share there is your full name, residential address, phone number, email address. Cover letters are nowadays still very traditional as before. So you still need to write those things like you did in a formal letter when you were in school. Next comes your greeting. So here you need to write Mr. or Miss full name of the employer, the job title of the employer or the hiring manager, company name, and the company address. Things that you should not write is dear sir / madam. Please don't write it. Okay. Nobody likes a gender option to choose from. Also, please don't write to whomsoever it may concern. No, it's an immediate turn off for the employer and they might not even go through your cover letter. Okay. Next comes the introduction. So here you need to grab the attention of the hiring manager. And how can you do that? You can tell them who you are and why you are interested in that company. What is something about that role that really interests you? Find out if the company has won something recently, achieved something recently, and you can actually congratulate the company for doing that. So these are some of the ways how you can grab the attention of the hiring manager rather than the traditional I am so and so person applying for so and so role. Okay, it's very boring. So please avoid that. Next is building your story. So this is the body of your cover letter. And here you need to paint a full picture of who you are and why should you be hired for this role. So give them a sum total of your skills, your technical skills, interpersonal skills, soft skills, and tell them why you are the best person who should be hired. Look at the job description. See what are the skills that they are looking for, and if your skill matches with what they want, and mention those specifically in your cover letter. And lastly, and very importantly, please mention how can you add value to the company. That is very important, and that needs to come out very clearly when you are writing the body of the cover letter. And lastly is the follow-up section. So this is actually very simple. You need to follow up for the status of your application for an interview. So what you can do is you can say that please find attached my resume for your perusal. I look forward to hearing from you. Yours sincerely, so and so. Yeah. So this is very common. I'm not going to, get into explaining it further. Okay. Yes. So guys, this is about the content of the cover letter and how you should write it. Five sections that need to go in the cover letter. Okay. Again, same thing. If you have any questions related to cover letter, please hold on to it and I will answer it at the end. All right. Yes. And now finally moving to one of the most interesting sections that I have, which is techniques for acing interviews. And guys, given the current day and age that we are in, there are very high chances that you will go for a video interview rather than a traditional face-to-face interview. So I'm going to share with you some points that will help you ace video interviews. So the first one is be prepared and don't be casual. This is what we do usually, right? We think we have to give the interview from the comfort of our home. All we need to do is switch on a laptop, sit in front of the laptop and just give the interview. And we take it usually very casually, right? So this is the first thing that you need to do, that please don't take your interviews casually and be prepared. So some things that you can do to be prepared is, number one, choose a quiet room. Okay, this is what I also usually do when I'm conducting webinars, that I shut my room door and I don't allow anybody inside, because the last thing that you want in an interview is distractions. So please choose a quiet room. The next is check Wi-Fi. So I know for most of us, this is usually such a big problem that our Wi-Fi can, go off anytime. So what you need to do is at least have some alternate source of internet connection ready, either a dongle or a mobile hotspot, something. Trust me when I say this, even if it's if you're going for a video interview and your video stops working, even though no fault of yours, it's not going to go well. Because there's a reason why the recruiter is going for a video interview. They want to see your expressions, they want to see your personality. And if the video doesn't work, there are very limited chances of you getting shortlisted. So please make sure that your Wi-Fi connection is working properly and you have an alternate source of connection ready. Third point, practice the software. So there's so many video conferencing softwares platforms available nowadays. I'm sure WebEx would have been a new platform for you. So please practice the software beforehand. Catch hold of a friend and do a video call so that during the interview, you're not fidgeting with the functions or you're not downloading the app at that moment and then appearing 5 minutes late for your interview. Okay. So please practice the software from beforehand. Dress appropriately. Yeah. So, I mean, needless to say, you have to consider this very seriously and you have to dress appropriately as you would for a face-to-face interview. I mean, I will not ask you to, dress up like wear coat and tie and all those things. You can definitely wear like a formal shirt. Yeah. And please dress appropriately. It's not only for the company, but it's also for you to feel confident and for you to feel serious about this interview. Okay. And then keep a pen and paper beside you. So what you need to understand is that an interview is not an exam or a viva where they keep asking you questions and all you need to do is answer. No. An interview is actually a two-way conversation, and you are also given the opportunity to ask questions and know more about the company. So keep a pen and paper beside you in case they tell you something important and you need to write it down. This will help. Okay. And lastly, keep your resume and all those documents beside you in case you need to refer to it for some information, something that you would traditionally do for a face-to-face interview as well. Okay. So this was the first point. Second is look at the camera. See, you are not in front of the recruiter, right? To do that traditional handshake and to make that eye contact and give them a good greeting. So here, to make that connection, you have to actually make eye contact with them. And how will you do that? Not by looking at them in the screen, but actually by looking at the camera. That's how you will make eye contact. So one good way, one hack around it is there is usually a small screen that appears where you can actually see your video and how it's playing. And that usually appears at the bottom of your laptop screen. So all you need to do is drag that video camera screen and put it just below your camera. And you can actually look at yourself and give the entire interview, and people will think that you are actually making eye contact with the recruiter. And when you look at yourself, you actually feel more confident as well. So this is a hack that you can definitely use very easily. Okay. The third thing is greet properly. So even though it's a video interview, you need to break the ice and you really need to connect with the employer and you need to greet them in a professional manner. So you can say, "Hello, Mr. Mishra, I am Divya. How are you doing?" Or you can also say, "Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. How are you doing today?" If they don't initiate the conversation, you should do it. It sets a good first impression and it also starts the interview on a positive note. Okay. Fourth point. Fourth point is use appropriate hand gestures. So when you go for a traditional interview, right, they are observing your body language, your posture, your hand gestures, your leg movement, everything. But in a video interview, they can't do that. And all they can see is your hands. So what you can do to have a very positive body language, you can use hand gestures. So few ways how you can use hand gestures is number one, when you're, say for example, the recruiter asks you, "Can you please tell me 3 of your strengths?" So you can say, "Yes, sure. My first strength is this. My second strength is this. And my third strength, last strength is this." So when you show your numbers like this, right, it gives a good count. Like it not only looks more impactful, but it also helps the interviewer to give a good count that yes, you've spoken about the first strength, then you've spoken about the second one, and now finally you're talking about the third strength. Okay, so this is one way of doing that. Another way how you can use hand gestures is, say for example, there is a person who doesn't use hand gestures and they say, that in my previous company, I helped the company grow their customer base by 5%. What you can do is you can use hand gestures here, and you can say that in my previous company, I helped the company grow their customer base by 5%. So by showing growing like this, it actually creates more impact. Okay, so you can try and practice using hand gestures, but obviously don't use it so much that it gets very distracting for your interviewer. Okay, all right. The next point is end on a high note. So when you're going for the interview, please don't start off the interview with this much energy and slowly towards the end, your energy like completely goes off. No. What you need to do is end your interview on a high note. And how can you do that? Ask relevant questions. If you ask a relevant question, it shows that yes, you are really interested to know more about the company and actually join the company. Ask about the remaining interview process. Then thank him or her. Thank the recruiter that thank you so much for taking out the time to interview me today. Or you can also say, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Have a good day. So these are some of the ways how you can end the interview on a high note rather than just a very simple thank you, ma'am, thank you, sir. Yeah. So this is a better way of ending your interview. And lastly, for some important tips, please don't try to cheat. Okay. Please don't have like post-it notes stuck here and there and you want to look at the answers. Guys, see, the moment you take your eyes away from the screen, they are going to notice that there is something fishy. Yeah. In a face-to-face interview, you can't cheat, right? So consider it like that. And please don't try to cheat in a video interview as well. And lastly, send a thank you email after the interview. Because it's a video interview and you will not be able to make that personal connection, do this extra bit. Send them a thank you email that they took out the time to know more about the company, to share with you more details about the company and that you really liked learning about that. Okay, so this is what you can do. So this was about video interviews and these are some important tips that you should always remember. And now for some commonly asked questions. The first very commonly asked question is, tell me something about yourself. So first, I'm still getting responses that the slide is not visible. Is it my fault? Visible, right? Okay. Sorry for troubling you all again and again. Okay. Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah. So first, let's see what are some of the things that you should not say in an interview. Please don't say, I am Divya. I was born and brought up in Bangalore. I have 2 siblings. Elder one is working in an IT company. Younger one is in class 12. Please don't answer like this. Okay. So instead, how can you answer this particular question? What you can say is, I'm currently pursuing mechanical engineering from RV College of Engineering, Bangalore. Last summer, I interned at Robert Bosch, where I developed a new testing concept for fuel injection pumps. This helped the organization reduce the pump rejection rate by 5%. I was also the convener of our college's annual technical fest, 8th Mile, where I coordinated a team of 45 volunteers to organize the event with over 4,000 footfall. After my graduation, I wish to work in the automobile industry, where I can apply my theoretical knowledge to solve real-world problems. Working at Tata Motors as a graduate engineering trainee would enable me to fulfill this role. Okay, so guys, this is probably how you can answer the question, tell me something about yourself. Now, it's not possible for me to answer this for all of you here. So what I'm going to do is first tell you that what the recruiters or what the interviewers want to know from this particular question. So what the interviewer wants to know is whether your skills align with the job position or not. The moment you enter the interview room, they actually don't care about learning about you. What they care about is whether you will be able to do the job or not. So they want to see whether your skills align with the job position and how interested you are for this opportunity. Sometimes the recruiters also use it as an icebreaker, but essentially they want to know the answer to the first 2 points that I just mentioned. Okay, so now let's see how can you actually frame this answer for yourself. So there are 3 points that you can do. The first is talk about your present experience. I'm currently pursuing so-and-so degree in so-and-so college. And usually, sometimes what students do is that they break this into multiple points. So please don't say something like, I'm a final year student, I'm pursuing mechanical engineering, I'm studying at Bharati Vidyapeeth College of Engineering. Please don't do that. Instead, you can say it in one crisp sentence. I'm a final year mechanical engineering student of RV College of Engineering, Bangalore. Okay, so that's good. That's, yeah, very crisp. Okay, so that's the present experience part. Next is past experience or accomplishment. So what you can say is you can either talk about an accomplishment, an award that you have won recently, or you can also talk about an internship that you did. Now, most of the time, it's actually not possible. It's actually not possible for you to align your accomplishments or internship with the job description or the job position that you're going for. But if you can, that would be again fantastic. Yeah. And lastly, alignment with the role of the company. So here you need to directly talk about why you are interested in that company. What are your future goals and what are you looking for from this role? Okay. So if you answer in this way, then it will actually give you a very good structure of answering this particular question. And if you notice, this is actually a funnel shade approach that we are going for. First, we talk broadly about our experience. Then we funnel it a little bit and share how our accomplishments, our experience align with the kind of work that we want to do. And lastly, we talk directly about why that company and why that role. Okay. So let's see how this has been done in the previous answer. So here it is. Yeah. So the first line, I'm currently pursuing mechanical engineering, is the present experience. Then is last summer I interned at Robert Bosch. So here you're talking about your past experience. Along with that, if you notice, I have also mentioned that I was also the convener of our college's annual technical fest. And why is that? To show that I have a very good all-rounded personality. I'm not only somebody who's very good at technical skills, but I also have good leadership skills. Okay. And then lastly, after my graduation, I wish to work in the automobile industry. So that's why I'm talking about what are my future goals. And if I join your company, you're actually helping me fulfill my goal, which is why I'm so interested in your company. Okay. So guys, this is a structure that you can follow for answering this question. And now coming to another very commonly asked question, which is, do you have any questions for us? So firstly, let's see what you should not say. No, thank you very much. And just run away or shut your laptop and be very happy that yes, my interview is done. Okay. Also, please don't say yes. What will be my salary if I'm hired? Guys, please don't ask these questions. Instead, some good questions that you can ask is number one, job scope related. What is the most important thing that someone planning to join this career or position should know? It's a really good question to ask. Firstly, because it does show that yes, you are really interested in the company. And secondly, it's a very open-ended question. It makes the interviewer think about their personal opinion of what is the most important thing and share that with you. Okay, so it's a good question to ask. Another job scope related question. What can I do to prepare myself better for this job? And this question is really good if you're actually switching fields. I know so many people who belong to like core fields like chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, and then they go for IT jobs, consulting jobs. So this is a good question to ask. Why? Because it shows that you are aware of the fact that your field of study does not match with the job role that you're going for. But at least you realize that fact and you are ready to prepare yourself even before you start working. So it's a really good question to ask. Third one is career progression related. What is a typical career progression like for a new hire? This shows that you're so interested in joining the company that you're already planning your career ahead with the company and speaking about the career progression. Okay, so another good question to ask. Fourth type of question is interviewer's personal experience. May I ask you what you like about working in this organization? And when I asked such a question in my ExxonMobil interview, this question, guys, it worked like a charm. So when I went for my interview, the interviewer was already 20 years into the company. So I asked him, sir, you've been in this company for so long. Could you please tell me what has been your one achievement that you're really proud of? And he got so excited because nobody had ever asked him a question like this. And he went on and on for 10 minutes. Yeah. So, and my interview ended on such a high note. So again, a very good question to ask. And lastly, interview process. So if I'm successful, when will I be informed about the next steps of the interview? So after 1 week of your interview, you don't want yourself confused and wondering, when will I come to know about the results? Might as well ask it in the interview itself. Okay. So guys, this is all that I had to share for today's webinar. And now I will be sharing the deliverables of a career building workshop that I will be conducting from this Friday onwards for those of you who want to learn in depth about these topics. So it's going to be a 12-hour classroom, online classroom session with personal feedback sessions along with it, only going to happen on holidays and weekends from 2nd to 18th of October. So let's see what we are going to cover. So the first one is resume building. It's going to be a 2.5-hour session. And then I'm going to talk in detail about writing a resume. I'm going to share with you the different resume layouts that you should go for based on the kind of industry you're applying to, how to write each of these sections in detail with more examples, clear all your misconceptions and doubts around it. So today I spoke about how you should not mention gender, age, and all these things. There's so many other misconceptions like this, and I'm going to clear those for you. And once you're ready with your resume, after the classroom session, I'm also going to vet your resume for you and tell you how you can improve it further. Next is going to be cover letter session. So very similar to that, I'm going to share what are the different types of cover letters you can write and in under what circumstances you should send cover letters out. Then how should you write information under each of these sections with so many good examples that will really give you a good framework of how you should frame your cover letters. And I will also share with you what are expectation of the hiring managers and some do's and don'ts for cover letter. And once again, when you go through the online classroom session, you need to write your own cover letter. And I'm going to correct that for you and tell you how you can improve it further. The third one is going to be interview. So it's going to be a very long workshop. It's going to be almost a 6-hour workshop where we're going to talk about the step-by-step approach of how you can master interviews. So today I just spoke about video interviews. There are actually 7 different kind of interviews that you can face as a fresh graduate, like technical interview, behavioral interview, group interview, stress interview, and so many more. And I'm going to talk about each one of them and how you're supposed to prepare for it. And after that, like today, I just did like 2 questions, 2 commonly asked questions. In the workshop, I'm actually going to cover 8 to 10 questions like this as to how should you frame your answers and give those answers in an interview. And then we will also do a 20-minute mock interview session. And then after the mock interview, I'll give you feedback as to how you can improve further. So it's going to be a mock video interview. And the fourth one is going to be GD. So this is a very new workshop that I've actually added to my list, and we're going to talk about group discussion techniques. What are the different kind of group discussion topics you can get and how you're supposed to prepare for them? What are the different frameworks of a group discussion and how should you incorporate those when you're talking? And then we will also do a mock GD, and again, I will share individual feedback with all of you as to how you can improve. And if you go through all these workshops, I can really assure you that you will be able to give a really good interview and get a good placement or an internship opportunity. So it's a very customizable workshop series. If you want to go for individual resume workshop, cover letter workshop, the charges are given at the bottom. If you want to go for both resume and cover letter workshop, again, a combined charge is given. Interview workshop if you want to go individually, or GD prep if you want to go individually, then again separate charges are there. But if you want to go for both interview and GD prep, again a separate charge is there. And if you want to go for all these 4 workshops, and make sure that you leave no stone unturned in preparing for your next internship or placement opportunity, you can go for the entire career building workshop. It starts on 2nd till 18th of October, 12-hour classroom sessions and around 1 hour of personal feedback session, combining everything. Okay. So thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this webinar. For all those who you want to leave, thank you so much. Go make the most of your next career opportunity. And if I've been able to contribute even a little bit in helping you get your next opportunity, I will feel that my work here is done. So thank you so much. And yes, okay. So if you want to register for the workshop, then what you can do is either go to the Instagram page and follow us. Even if you have any questions regarding resume, cover letter, interview. I usually answer all the DMs myself, so you can again follow the Instagram page. All right. I think, guys, then I'll be taking your leave and wishing you all the very best. Bye and take care. I'm ending the session now, okay? So bye.